So we switched to English because here's the thing. People ask me, you're a French guy. I say, yeah, I'm a French guy. And it's pretty obvious when I speak English because sometimes I think in French, I speak in English, and I say funny things. But they ask me, why don't you do your podcast in French? I said, well, I got listeners all over the world, man. If I do it in French, I lose 3/4 of them, you know.
So let's keep it simple and not break the bike.
Let's not break the bike. I wonder how many people will get that one. Hey, peoples. Any football fans out there? Me, I was never much of a football fan, although I do have the physical shape to be on the defense line. Actually, I did play football when I was a kid, but never really understood the rules. My coach just told me, you see the guy in front of you? I say, yeah. Well, just ram into that guy and knock him down. Okay, then what? Get out of the way. Well, that was a no-brainer for me. In fact, I was the only guy on the team whose clothes were immaculate white after the game. But once in a while, though, I was up against a guy who was as big and strong as I was, and as stupid as I was, so we just kept ramming into one another while the rest of our teams were at the other end of the field. Anyway, why am I talking about this? Oh yeah, my next guest is Frank Perron, and he happens to be working at the Superbowl tailgate party in Los Angeles. Frank works for Stageline, a mobile stage company. Ever been to a festival and you see this big-ass stage in the middle of nowhere that actually wasn't there the day before? Well, Frank is the guy who makes that stage appear and disappear after the show. Now, I know I say this on every episode, but it's important. If you like the Backstage Cowboys podcast, please share it with your friends. If you don't like it, well, just don't tell me about it, okay? We'll get on with our conversation with Frank right after this. The Backstage Cowboys podcast is brought to you by AVL Media Group and Avolights, who make the best lighting consoles in the world. If you live in Canada, you now have access to the Avolights Academy online learning platform. The cost is $229, and that includes an editor AvoKey delivered directly to your door. Head on over to BackstageCowboys.com and click on the Avolights Academy logo to get all the details. Now, if you don't live in Canada, well, that means you're in another country. So if you're in the United States, head on over to avolights.us. Anywhere else in the world, just go directly to avolights.com and you'll find all the resources available in your country. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is another episode of the Backstage Cowboys podcast. 36, 24, 36. Hut, 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 hut. Frank, my friend, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor.
Nah, man. I'm always amazed when people tell me it's an honor. I don't feel that way. Anyway, okay. I've got 1,000 questions for you, and you know, as usual, I'm not very organized. And I don't care to be organized. I think that spontaneous nananity is the best way to go. So we met like quite a few years ago. We were working together.
At the beginning.
Yeah, the dance company. I remember you as being the guy who I could, just give all the information to, and you take charge, grab the crew, and get everything done. And the way I see it, that's pretty much what you're still doing today, right?
It's pretty much the same. Now that I've taken your place, I'm actually the one in charge now. And basically, I get sent to a festival, a corporate gig, or whatever. And I meet 12 strangers in the morning. That is my team, and I have to accomplish big things in one day and have the stage up at the end of that 12-hour time frame.
Yeah, because you're the guy who gets there like there's grass, basically, or there's just an empty parking lot or something like that. And you're the guy who puts up all the infrastructure and makes it happen. You work for Stageline, right?
Yes,
Tell me,
first in, last out.
yeah, exactly. First in, last out. So, Stageline, is that a Canadian or an American company?
It's a Canadian company. It is based in L'Assomption
Mm-hmm.
on the north shore of Montreal. And we have about 60 to 70 technicians, if I'm not mistaken, in the high peak of the season. We started 3 or 4 years ago hiring Americans. And I think we have a pool of 12 to 15 Americans now working for us.
Hmm.
So the family is growing bigger and bigger and stronger.
Yeah. So Stageline, just for those who don't know, you're a mobile stage company. Basically, you get to somewhere where there's nothing, and you set up a full size stage. And you have different sizes of structures.
Correct. Yeah, correct. We have small stages for usually the cities really like those little pop-up stages. And we have bigger ones for festivals where we can show up on a site and have a stage build in one day and wrap also in one day. So this is pretty convenient for quick gigs.
Yeah, and it's pretty magical the way you do that because, like, small stage, big stage. I guess for most people, it's difficult to imagine. I know what a small stage is. I know what a big stage is. I know what that involves. Why don't you tell me about what a typical day is in your life is?
It's just like a recipe. It's just like making a cake. You know the ingredients, you know the sequence, and at the end, you have something that looks like a stage. Basically, we will show up very early in the morning. Usually, the sun hasn't come up, and we measure. We make sure that the stage is where the client really wants it, and we will remeasure to make sure that it's really there that it goes. Because once the truck disconnects, it's final.
Yeah, can't move it.
The first 4 hours, so until lunch, we build the floor, we build the roof, we prepare everything to be able to go up with the roof after the lunch. That's usually the goal. During lunch, the riggers are usually installing their points, and by the end of the day, the roof is up, everything is secured. We're doing the final touch-ups, and we're keeping it sexy.
Hmm. So tell me, how does that work? I mean, what I know, and I'm pretty familiar with the stage line technique and all the infrastructure and what it involves, but just so that people can understand, I mean, you basically rolled in with a 53-foot van or something like that, and once you're done, you have a full size stage up with the roof and the wings and the backdrop and the stairs and the extensions and everything. So how does that happen? How do you turn a van into a full size stage?
Well, it takes three stage line technicians, 12 stage hands, one forklift, and I'm talking about the SAM 575s for the people that are.
That's the biggest stage you have, right?
The biggest is the 750 currently. This one has 7 trailers. That's a monster.
Wow.
I'm mostly working on the 575 and training people, doing inspections and making repairs. But basically, the 575 will use hydraulic to pop up and assemble. We will assemble all the parts with our 12 stagehands. And as soon as we can, we have a support trailer that carries most of our parts that will be parked behind the stage once it's all opened up and be our backstage area where we can do the changeovers and have all the gear ready for the next set.
Now, the question I have now is once everything's up or as everything's going up, then you have the lighting crew and you have the sound crew and the video crew, and they're all coming in wanting to hang stuff off your structure, right? Yep. So they're hanging speakers off the side wings, they're hanging video screens, they're hanging lights, the banners, whatever. So there's obviously some limits to what you can hang where, right? There's
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So how do you control that? How do you? I suppose you're in charge for making sure that they don't go over these limits and everything's within the range that it was meant to be.
Oh yeah, and they always try to trick you. You have to keep an eye on them,
which is totally stupid. Because it'll fall on them too,
it's gonna
right?
look nice. Yeah. It's gonna look so much nicer. Going to look so much nicer. But yeah, you have to argue sometimes. But people think I'm on vacation most of the time because I'm just hanging out by the stage. But I'm actually keeping an eye on the production crew to make sure that those weight limits are being respected. And whatever plot was submitted to Stageline and that was approved by our rig master is being respected. I also double check the weight capacities just because since I'm in charge, I really want to make sure that everything goes according to plan.
Mm-hmm. And how can you tell? I mean, I understand that if you get the specs, like this type of video screen is going up, and that's exactly what's going up, so that's pretty obvious. But how can you double check and make sure that they don't go over the weight? Do you have load cells or something? Can you monitor what's going up there?
Load cells will happen on very corporate gigs where there will be movement in the roof, so dynamic rigging. Mm-hmm. But most of the time on your cell phone, you can have access to all the weights of the light machine or the PA. Or you do like me, you take a broken accent, you play a little dumb, you go see sound guy and you tell him, hey, how heavy is this? Huh? You carried this by yourself, strong man? And he's going to tell me, oh, it's 100 pounds. Like, oh, okay, 1, 2, 3, 12. Okay. Hey, you're screwing me over two sound box, man. No. So the broken accent works too.
I love it. So how do you deal with local crew? How does that go? I mean, first of all, it's union crew, right? Most of the time or all the time?
I would say it's a 50-50.
Really?
Yeah, it really depends on where you go. The more rural the festival gets, the more local crew you will get.
You get volunteers, right?
Union.
Firemen.
Oh, yeah, we get yeah. All sorts of people will come to help you.
Yeah, not that I have anything against firemen. They're hard workers. I love them.
I think everybody is hardworking when it comes to building a stage. But I think you have to adapt. This is the most important part of our job as stage technicians, is to be able to adapt to a new crew every day, every week. You meet some people, you will see them on the road again. Yeah, that's for sure. So it's always important to be nice to your stagehands, and yeah,
that's gold.
yeah. But they really like working with us and for us. So we have a very good reputation, so that helps.
Yeah. How about complications? I mean, I understand that you deal with bad weather sometimes. You deal with, parts of staff not showing up for whatever reason, delays in delivery, the ground not being what it was supposed to. I mean, name it. What are the most common difficulties that you have to face when you get to a new spot and you need to set up a stage?
Usually we do site surveys, so we have surprises once in a while, but it will be mostly because of the weather that was unpredictable. Crew-wise, usually we have our crew. Since the pandemic, it's been a little harder, like in every domain, to get people to work. But other than that, usually everything runs pretty smooth. It's only the weather that we have absolutely no control on, and the wind is our worst enemy. Um, but since I've been through a tornado with my SAM 575, and it withstand the whole thing up to 92 miles per hour. That's the last number recorded by the wind meter. I'm not scared no more. Like, it's a very impressive storm and very impressive product to be able to stand still. There was nothing left on site beside the stage. It was very. Whew.
Well, so the stage stayed up.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We yeah, it was. I have no words right now just thinking about it. It was very scary. But ultimately, yeah, the stage was there, and we respected all the procedures, and we did our job.
So, what is the procedure? I mean, you got your stage up, you got the backdrop on, you might have like lighting rig and sound rig, video up, banners, whatever, anything that likes to grab the wind. And you hear that there's 100-mile-an-hour wind coming. So what's the procedure? How do you secure that stage? Well, first of all, I suppose that you just just make sure there's nobody around. But I mean, how do you prepare for something coming like that when you see it coming?
The first and most important step is to make sure that everybody agrees on the emergency plan before everybody gets on stage, even if it's a nice day, so that it happens. There's no arguing. These are the steps to follow, and we respect those steps. So if there's 100 miles per hour wind, I go full on the procedures, and I make sure that everything is safe and secured. But basically, it's an escalation where we're trying to vent the stage as much as possible and avoid the dynamic load. So we will land the PA, we will land the video walls, we'll suck up all the lights in the roof, and we will vent the stage. So we will lower the back wall and open as many doors as possible so that we're blow through, basically.
Mm-hmm. So, and I've been through a couple of those, through my experience. And the backdrop, I mean, some backdrops are like, the wind goes through it. It's some sort of material. And I've seen other backdrops that are like leather. They're like really tight. What kind of backdrop do you deal with the 570?
It's I don't know, it's like a big, not plastic, but it's a big fabric, heavy-duty material that we use. It's not blow-through at all. So if we do not have a retractable back wall and it gets windy enough, we have to free that back wall by cutting the straps. And that's not a fun decision to make. But ultimately, that's at 50 miles per hour plus, we have to free the back walls, basically.
Yeah, so cutting the straps means sending somebody up the truss and doing that by hand, I suppose, right?
Oh, no, you do not want to go in the truss when it's super windy. We do this from the ground, so we will free the bottom of the back wall and let it loose in the wind, and it will go up and down, wipe some lights and whatever's left on the floor. So it's not a fun decision to make, because ultimately you're making damage to the back wall that will need to be changed, but you're also swiping a few guitars and drums and on the passage. So yeah.
So it's tight from the bottom, but it's not tight from the sides. That's what you're saying, right?
It's clipped onto the roof with carabiners and strap ratchets to put a nice tension in it. So it's easier to just cut the straps at the bottom than to climb up, especially if it's windy and you don't want to be in the structure while it's shaking like this.
Yeah, and how about the sides? The sides are just like I suppose there's still bungee things that let go at a certain amount of stress. Is that what you're still using?
On the 75, yes, but on all the models up, it's a lanyard strap ratchet. So it's just a little pull and lock mechanism. And those you have to cut as well if we pass the 50 miles per hour wind.
Yeah, it's funny. I have an anecdote. Like one time I was in Prince Edward Island. We were doing a country festival, and I had a local crew, aunts and uncles, all probably volunteers, nice people. And we were setting up bars of six. And I asked them, as you're hanging them, please focus all the lights in the face of the sound guy. And to my big surprise, they were really nice people. They did. They actually turned every can towards the sound guy. And I didn't realize at first, but then I lifted my head and I looked and I said, oh, God, they did it for real.
Nice.
So
he must have liked you.
No, I explained after that and they found it very funny. But so on your end, what funny anecdote do you have with either local crew or whatever, any funky stuff that happens when you're setting up?
I usually don't know the people that are playing on my stage. So sometimes I look very, very stupid. I went on tour with Mumford and Sons, the Foo Fighters and the Flaming Lips. And the first show of the tour at catering, I sat down at a table that looked with fine people eating, and one of them asked me how I'm doing. So I'm doing fine. What do you do? I'm the stage guy. What do you guys do? We're the headliner. Oh, as in Mumford and Sons? And they all start laughing. And I'm like, yeah, that's us. Gosh, shit. Okay, well, I'm Frank. I'm your stage guy for the whole tour. Shit. So yeah, for the rest of the tour, I got high fives on the stage every time they were about to come up and perform. Yeah.
That reminds me when we were shooting the movie Lancez Compte. I had I was doing the light board. In other words, I was kind of useless on the set. I was just sitting behind the light board and doing some effects whenever they were pretending to ride the bus. It was a stationary bus, but I was moving the lights just so that I made it look like the bus was moving. And of course, this is a movie about hockey. So you have a whole bunch of hockey players, but the thing is, they had real hockey players on the set that had roles in the movie. And I wasn't a hockey fan. I mean, I'm not a sporty guy, but I did have a Montreal Canadiens cap on for some reason. I had Stanley Cup 1993. And then this guy comes up to talk to me, and he was like buddy with me, and I didn't know who the hell he was. And it turns out he was one of the star players for the Canadiens.
Nice.
Yeah, found out the next day.
Well, that was me at that dinner.
So I suppose you're spending. I've been seeing you spending a lot of time in the States recently, right? Or for the past few years.
I basically live down here.
Wow.
I am. I usually do about 3 weeks, 1 week. That's most of my year. When I started, it was from April to November. And now that I have the seniority and the experience, I don't only do festivals. I also do the stage inspections, certifications of new technicians, and I also do some maintenance on the road. So I manage to get enough knowledge to be able to work and live off of staging.
Mm-hmm. So you're doing strictly staging. But tell me, I mean, you're away like 3 weeks out of 4?
Yeah. Sometimes more. It really depends on the season.
How's your private life?
My girlfriend was doing this job prior to us meeting, so
Okay.
she knows the industry and she understands. She still get mad when there's a surprise week that adds up, like in any couple. But I try to stick to the schedule as much as possible so that we have time home.
Oh, well, I guess that's about everybody's story. But it's nice that your wife understands what you do because that's the hardest part most of the time.
It's crucial.
Yeah. So let's go back in time. I'd like to. I mean, I know what you're doing now, and I have an idea of what took you there. Let's go back in the beginning. I mean, from very young to how you got into this mess. I mean, this business.
Oh yeah.
What? How did you wind up in this business? Did you plan it, or was it like you discovered it by accident?
I don't know. I got sucked into it. It
Like most of
was.
us.
Oh yeah. I was supposed to do this for 2 weeks actually. I was supposed to do this for 2 weeks, and I ended up doing those first 2 weeks at Metropolis with my two roommates, and
So
yeah,
they needed an extra hand, and you were the guy. You were the one that
exactly,
happened to be there.
exactly.
Yeah.
I started with my first show was Lady Gaga.
Oh,
Um, then it was Prince, Sum 41, and it never ended for a whole 2 years. I think that adventure lasted.
and what were you doing at the time? General stage stuff, I suppose.
I was doing a bit of everything, trying to find what I liked, and only 2 weeks. Huh? I was not. I studied in psychology. I was not heading that way at all, and after 6 years of doing this, one of my buddy told me that I should swing by Stageline and check it out. Maybe I'd like it. And I was supposed to try Stageline just for a month, and here I am. So it's my 8th year. 8 years later.
8 years. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, okay, now going from general, technical stuff, I suppose you didn't specialize in anything, but at the time, right? You were doing like sound setups as much as light setups and videos and whatever, and curtains and shit.
Yeah, I was freelancing.
Yeah.
I was doing mostly lights, rigging, and leading crews. That was mostly what I was doing.
You were very good at it, I can tell you that.
Well, thank you, and I think it served me right until now.
Yeah. So when you moved on to Stageline, I suppose there was a lot of training involved. I mean, you had to. Are you? What certification do you need to do what you do now?
You need to be able to tie your shoes by yourself in the morning,
That's a
and
start.
yeah. You need to be able to adapt basically to surprises. You need to not be top shape, but to be in a certain physical shape because there's some heavy lifting to do. And you have to be able to plan ahead. So, yes, understanding the sequence of building a stage, but ultimately, there will be a truck in the way. There will be something, the 10 stage end instead of 12, the forklift break. So you have to be able to plan, but to find a solution to the situation because there's no problems. There's only situations and it can be fixed. We're in
Yeah.
the rock and roll business and we make miracle happen. People don't see it. People don't see what happens behind the curtain, but there is so much more that they can imagine. And it's hard work. But everybody that does this job is very passionate and loves traveling. So yeah, it's a fun
Yeah,
job.
I always said, man, I hear myself in echo. It's crazy. I always said that if people don't realize I exist, then I did my job right.
Exactly. That's why we wear black, so that we're not seen.
Yeah. Oh, I had another question. Damn it. I lost it again. Ugh. Hate it when that happens. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, of course. Pretty obvious. So, as we speak right now, the Super Bowl is about to happen. So, I mean, we're pre-recording, so this will be on the air in a couple of weeks, I suppose. But as we speak, we're Saturday, and the Super Bowl happens tomorrow. And you're actually doing the tailgate event in LA. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. It's my second Super Bowl. I never thought I would be able to say something like this. I never thought the little guy from Montreal pushing road cases at Metropolis would be working in LA doing the Super Bowl. Um, I am not a big football fan. I like football, but I don't know much. But it's such a great experience. We showed up a little more than a week prior to the event just to set up the stage because they're building a village around us. Tents, kitchens, name it. It's being built around the stadium so that we can host a 78,000 people event. So yeah, the US have moved on with COVID. It's
We're working on it.
yeah, I've heard this before. But anyway, so we showed up a week and a half before. We set up the stage, and now the production loaded the lights one day, sound the other day, video the third day. So it was a very smooth load in. And today was sound checks. They're doing a rehearsal of the show for tomorrow, and tomorrow is game day. Just keep in mind, we set up a week and a half prior to this. We're doing the VIP tailgate party. It starts at 11:30 in the morning, and at 2:30 it's over. So 3 hours of show and a week and a half of preparation. So people don't see what it involves, but yeah, this is going to be spectacular.
So here's a trick question. Who's the headliner on your stage?
I have no clue. It's this local band I never heard of. And we might have a surprise from some famous rappers performing.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't really know the headliner.
Okay, yeah.
So,
he's winking. You guys don't see him, but I see him winking. He knows.
So,
he knows. He can't say. All right, I'm good.
So we might have some surprises. We will have some legends, football legends, retired football players that will be on stage to make some announcements, cheerleaders, and obviously good food and drinks during that 3 hour of entertainment.
So yeah, Pierre, my friend who's sitting right next to me, he's got a question. He wants to know, I mean, do you, from the position you have right now, do you have access to the game? Can you go into the stadium and watch the game, or is there any type of access or VIP pass that you have, from being who you are and what you do?
I have access to my stage and certain area around the stadium. But since I do not need to be inside the stadium, I do not have stadium access on my pass. And with the size of this event, we have been pre-checked by the FBI, national security, and name it. We've had the background check to make sure that we were okay to be on that site. So no, sadly, we do not have access to the stadium. I know.
Yeah, well, that's. I guess we often get asked that question, and yeah, we're there to work. We have a job to do, and it's funny because a lot of people think that we're chasing stars, and nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, I remember when I was doing my stuff on stage, when the stars would get in, I'd do everything I can to leave the stage.
Yes. Same for me.
Because I'm trying to do a job, and the star being there needs to do something else that we probably both need the same space. So I try to move away, let the star do what they have to do. The stars, let them do what they have to do. And then when they're done, then they move away and they allow me to do what I have to do. And it's funny how we see the world differently, because being in that business, it's like stars for me is just like coworkers. They're people that have a different job than I do, but we're all working for the same result,
a team,
right?
Our job is to make them shine and not to be seen. They're the only one shining. And if this is what happens, then we did our job and we delivered. So it's very important not to be seen and to leave them their space, like you say. When they're backstage, usually they want to be left alone. And most of the artists I've worked with are gathering their thoughts and gathering their energy and focusing before getting on stage, because this is their time to shine.
Yeah, and our jobs depend on their performance also.
Correct. Yeah.
So anybody who wants to get involved, who would like to, because I obviously our industry has had a big hit in the past couple of years, and I know that there's a lot of people missing. We need to fill some positions. Anybody who would like to join the team or to start working in that area, what would you say? What's the first step? What would they need to do? Where do they need to go?
The first step is to get a sea wrench.
Un Westcott en français.
Un Westcott. The first step I would say would be try it. Just try it. It's hard work, but it's so rewarding at the end when you show up to a park and at the end of the day there's a stage, and the next day there's lights and production, and at the end of the week it's a festival, and then you host 70 something thousand people and you see all those people dancing and being happy. So my advice would be try it. There's plenty of audio, sound, light company. There's Stageline. There's many others. Just follow your passion. It's all about being a passion.
Yep, we've said that pretty often. Most of us are passionate people, and that's how we get things done. And it's not work.
And a little crazy too, because no one is balanced enough to do this job for this long. I can guarantee you with all the this and the this and the that, but it's so rewarding, and yeah, it's a big passion.
Well, Frank, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. I'm going to let you go get some rest, because I know you have a hell of a job there.
Actually, I'm going to go enjoy the sun, because there's some sun over here. I'm not going to rub it in, but
lucky you.
Yeah. No snow.
Yeah. I'm going to go freeze my ass off in Quebec City this week to troubleshoot some wireless DMX stuff. I mean,
I'll see you in 2 weeks after I go to Florida. So, yeah.
Yeah, why don't you? Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Yes.
We'll talk soon.
See you soon. Thank you.
Take care. The Backstage Cowboys podcast is brought to you by AVL Media Group and Avolights, who make the best lighting consoles in the world. If you live in Canada, you now have access to the Avolights Academy online learning platform. The cost is $229, and that includes an editor Avo key delivered directly to your door. Head on over to BackstageCowboys.com and click on the Avolights Academy logo to get all the details.